Yo, what's up, everyone? Back to cover this Saturday early slate. It's a 6-game slate starting at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. So let's jump right into it. We'll also have a main slate video out for today. So before we get started, if you drop a like and subscribe, I appreciate that. So before we get started, I just want to show you guys the weather for this games. We have a couple of wind spots that is going to affect some of the ball games. Like in Baltimore, it's supposed to be 87 degrees with 13 mile per hour winds blowing straight out. And the Red Sox are facing Dylan Bundy, who is one of the worst, who's been giving up so many home runs over the past couple seasons, gives up a lot of fly balls. This Red Sox offense is starting to come alive as of late. The past couple nights, they put up some big scores. So that's going to help the Red Sox offense a lot. Here in San Francisco, you have the wind blowing out a little bit. It's not going to affect me too much. Both teams still have an under 4 run total, and both pitchers are decent. But here in Washington, D.C., we have, once again, the wind blowing straight out, 13 miles per hour winds, 86 degrees, and you're facing Taylor Clark. The Nationals get to face Clark, who just hasn't been that good this season. I expect the Nationals to put up some runs. Here in Houston, the roof is probably going to be closed, so you can ignore the wind. And then here, you might have a little bit of rain in Detroit, but the main things I just wanted to highlight were the fact that the hitting conditions for the Red Sox game and the Washington game is looking really nice. So those two are going to be my favorite stacks by far. I'm going to start it off with Chris Sale, though. I just don't not want to have him on this slate the way he's been pitching. Besides Chris Sale, there's a drop-off to Strasburg, who's still decent, but he hasn't been nowhere near as consistent as Chris Sale has been as of late. He's been really good. Coming off a 33-point game against the Rangers, put up 52 against the Royals, went the complete game shutout, has 10-plus strikeouts in 3 straight games, has 10-plus strikeouts in 6 of his last 7 games, just been on fire after he started off very shaky. ERA is going down every start. He's just given up 6 hits in his last 16 innings. This Orioles team does strike out a ton. Tremendous spot for Chris Sale here at 11-6. Going to be all over that. And I really want to fit in some big bats of the Red Sox and the Nationals mainly, and maybe some Houston bats. So I'm going to go cheap with my SP2, and I'm going to go with a guy making his MLB debut, Dario Agrizel. I probably butchered that, but he's pitching for the Pirates. Very cheap going into Miami to face this Marlins team. He was pretty good in AAA with a 3.27 ERA through 12 starts. Decent strikeout rate with 20%. Didn't walk that many guys either, just 3.5%, so he has excellent control. This ballpark is great to pitch in, obviously, and the Marlins have like half their lineup should be in AAA, so it's not that much different than a AAA start. At 5,400, I think he can get the job done. I'm not looking for much out of him, but as long as he can get you 10-plus, double digits, he's already made value, so he's cheap, allows you to pair for big bats, which I really want, and allows you to pair him with Chris Sale. Still leaves you with over $4,000 to spend on your hitters, which I really like. So at first base, I'm going to go really cheap here. I'm going to go with Jacob Bauers. I think he's just a little too cheap, $3,300. Great price tag on him for the matchup. They're going to be getting to face Buck Farmer. It's a good ballpark to hit in Detroit. There might be a little weather in this game, so keep an eye on that, but Farmer has not been that good, and then he's going to get to face a bad Detroit bullpen. They haven't said who's going to come after Farmer, but I expect it to be like a bullpen game, and he hasn't been very good this season either with a 5.25 ERA. I think the way Jacob Bauers, he's had a huge game last night. I think he can carry that into tomorrow against Farmer and whoever's coming in after him. It's just a pretty good spot for him. He's very cheap, and we know he has a lot of power. And he has been swinging the bat a little better as of late. He was pretty decent for the Rays last season, especially with the home runs and the extra base hits. And this season, he hasn't gotten off to as good of a start as the Indians hoped. But he has been coming around as of late. And he was really, really highly ranked in the minor leagues. This season, he's been decent against righties, 216 batting average. The ISO is just 122. Hasn't been great at all against righties this year. If you look at his career numbers, he still has some power with a 168 ISO. It's not great numbers, but I don't need him to go out and just put in a huge score. He's at a really good price tag, and he has been hitting the ball pretty well as of late. So I'll definitely take a chance on him at 3,300. Next up at third base, I like Rafael Devers. I think Devers just been swinging a really hot bat at 5,200. Facing Dylan Bundy. Bundy has been much worse on the road. At home. Bundy gives up a ton of power at home, and the Red Sox lineup is starting to look like last season's version the past couple days. And Devers has been on fire over the past couple months. He started off really slow in April, but he's swinging a hot bat right now, and Bundy still gives up a lot of home runs. He's given up 15 home runs on the season already. At home, he's given up a .529 slugging percentage. And Devers has been great against right-handed pitching this season. And he's just been really hot as of late. He has a little bit of speed as well. This season, Devers is hitting .306 against righties with 8 home runs. And he has a .218 ISO, a .523 slugging percentage. Just been really, really good. Doesn't strike out that much either. And the matchup is great against Bundy, so I'm going to take a chance on Devers here at 5,200. In the outfield, I'm going to start it off with Mookie Betts. So I kind of like Mookie Betts here. I think a lot of people, I think he might be lower owned because people will probably play JD Martinez. Not that I don't like Martinez, but Betts has the better numbers against Bundy. Martinez is just like 1 for 13 or 2 for 13 against Bundy in his BVP sample. But he does have a home run, does Martinez. Betts has decent numbers against Bundy, and he's been great against right-handed pitching this season, a lot better than his numbers against lefties. This season, he's batting .284 against righties with 10 home runs. Against lefties, he's been struggling. He has a .511 slugging percentage and a .226 ISO. And it's just a great ballpark to hit in with the wind blowing out, batting leadoff. He has a little bit of speed as well, and I don't expect him to. I expect him to get at least 5 at-bats here. So should be able to do some damage there. And last but not least, I like Juan Soto. Soto's at 4,700. Feel like it's a great spot for him to target him against Clark. He hasn't been great as of late, but he's still batting. He's still having a great season. 286, 10 home runs, 39 RBIs. With the weather is going to be great to hit in here with the wind blowing out. And this Nationals lineup, they do have a little bit of power now that they are starting to get a little healthier. If Matt Adams is back, that's another bat that makes a stack more appealing. But Soto's been great this season. 279 against righties with 7 home runs. And Clark is just not very good. He's been bad to both righties and lefties. Righties have hit him a little better, I believe. But it's just a small sample size for him. Yeah, 453 given up to lefties, 453 slugging, 587 to righties. The xFIP is much worse against lefties, 6.43, which means he's getting lucky with the BABIP is just 250 compared to a 353 BABIP against righties. That makes me like Soto even more. He only has a 13% K rate to lefties. I think Soto's going to have a really, really good game here. Gives up a decent amount of fly balls as well. I like Soto at 4,700. So these are the picks I kind of like for this early slate. Still leaves you with a decent amount to spend for the rest of the position. And if you target some value plays to make it work, like on Boston, there's some value with like Brock Holt at 3,900. And maybe Brock Holt and Bradley Jr. There's some value plays on the Red Sox. Here on the Nationals, I think you can look at like Gomes at catcher if he's going to be in there. Adams is cheap at 4,200. Rendon, if you're going to pay up, he's expensive. I prefer to play Rendon against lefties, but Clark isn't very great. So I like him. Turner and Eaton and Soto, I think, make for a good stack. Here, I'm not very interested in any side. I think you could look at a couple Brewers if you're playing some GPPs. Like Kane is cheap at 4,000. He has great numbers against lefties. Kane, Braun, and Hernan Perez, I think. Hernan Perez and Aguilar, I think, make for a decent stack, and they're very cheap. On the Astros, I look at a couple pieces like Gurriel, 4,100, facing a lefty. I like Bregman at 54. He has great numbers against lefties for his career. And it's kind of tough to to get anybody else against a lefty. Maybe you want to go really, really cheap and play Mayfield if he's going to be in there at 2,200. Here, I talked about some Indians. Well, I talked about Bauer. I like him. He's very cheap. Kipnis is extremely cheap, too, at 3,000. Ramirez at 3,700. He had a good game last night. Maybe you can carry that into today. I don't mind him. And I don't mind Mercado at 4,100. And I'm not going to have any interest really in here with any bats. Unless somebody's really cheap on the Pirates. Nobody's really sticking out. Brian Reynolds has been on fire, so you could play him as a one-off. And Josh Bell, just because he's having a great season. But other than that, not that much interest. But today, on this slate, I'm going to do everything I can to try to get as many Red Sox and Nationals in the lineup. And I do like the Indians quite a bit as value plays. Those are the pitchers I like. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and good luck today.